It's a really cold day. It's like, I don't know, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've been working on putting a diesel heater in the back of my Tacoma with my Topo Toppers camper top. And I happen to have some free time today. And even though it's cold, I'm gonna try to work on this thing and get it installed. So here we are. That's the heater, and it's gonna go in that corner there. Now I've already built the stand that it's going to go on, and I'll show you how that's going to mount back there as I attempt to tackle this install. We'll see how it goes. All right. So by shoving the bed up over the cab of the truck, I now have room to stand up in here and move around. So this goes like that. I mean, technically I wouldn't need a leg. That would be ideal, no leg. Okay, so I just marked out where I'm going to bolt the heater to this plate. Here, 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 and here. And I think I'm just going to screw that right to here, because that'll make a nice base for the diesel heater, no matter what I decide to do with it in the future. Alright, so I've got some hooks that hook in here, similar to this, and you drill a hole in your wood and run a bolt up through, and then a nut secures it. So I think that should be enough to hold that heater, because we've got support from this point to this point diagonally, so that would support the center of the heater. You know, all your weight's going to be right here, centralized, so that will actually rest there. So I don't think I need a leg here. I think I'm going to try it without the leg, see how that works. This will be supported under tension in the back corner. So I need to get the hooks, see how much clearance I have, how much depth I have to hook those. I may need to cut out a bigger hole here before I drill the final hole for the clamp. Alright, we'll go with that and fabricate and modify as we go along. Okay, so this is the clamp. So this hooks in there. Alright, so I'm going to cut out a bigger hole here and then just drill a small hole here for the bolt itself. Alright, so I've got this washer here. That's going to have to go like here. So I'm going to need 1 1/8 hole. Centered here. And here. All right, hands are cold. Woo! So it'll be kind of hard to see what I'm doing back here, but I'll show you up here whenever I get to that one. All right, that's nice and snug. Okay, so this has a little hook on it, and it goes inside this rail, like so. Then this bolt goes through here, and you draw it up tight, so it goes something like this. Goes in there like that. And we snug that down, and that feels plenty strong enough to hold the heater without a leg. So that means I can slide stuff under here. I could probably sit on that. Holding that, it'll be just fine. Like so. And you can see back here, it's on this ledge, so it's supported out to here. I mean, this is unsupported, but if you draw a line through the center of the mass here, most of the mass, half the mass is supported, half of it's unsupported. But it equalizes out because I've shoved it back this way a little bit further. Alright, so I've got this elbow, and I managed to slip this onto the joint there. A hole on this side, which you cannot slip a nut driver into. But you can slip the shaft of the nut driver into, then put your nut on the other side of it, and let it hang there while you assemble this mess. So Vevor, make a bigger access hole on this side. Okay, so that is clamped. Alright, so I decided to drill a hole from the inside to the outside. That way, I can make sure that this actually fits. So I completely forgot to video me drilling these 3 holes, but it's a basic process. Stick this up in there, and then I just stuck the drill in through these holes and drilled some holes into the side of the camper top. Okay, so then there's this, I'm assuming, silicone gasket. Imagine it's heat resistant. Put it behind this section of the port, run your screws through, line everything up, shove it through, and hope it stays while you go on the inside. You could put a piece of tape over it. Just kind of weird. That side's fairly flat, so that side's shiny. Alright, now we carefully thread the gasket over the bolts so as not to push the bolts out. Okay, then we put the shiny giant washer on. Alright, let's see if we can tighten this with just a screwdriver. I'm thinking no. Though I could put a pair of vice grips on this side and it might hold it in place. Okay, so on the bottom here, you see I've got the exhaust port hooked up. Got it clamped there. Got the joint clamped here. The elbow comes out and there's a straight piece here. Got this insulation on there, keep it from burning stuff. And this is the intake port. This has a little filter on it. Not sure how important that is, but I figure it'll keep bugs from crawling up in there and dying and stinking. If they, you get a stink bug up in there and it starts to heat up, I'm sure it won't smell very good. And I'd rather not take the thing apart. Alright, so okay, see, this is where the exhaust is going to connect. What I want to do is stick a clamp on there. Slide that over. And then adjust this so that that fits. I think that battery is dead. Alright, so I've got my ABOC battery power station down there, plugged into 12 volt XT60 connector, and I've got the cabling wired up some of these. I'm not sure the technical term for these connectors, but they're solar connectors. So we'll plug those in. Positive and negative separate, so you can see the thing's powering on here. And I should have my phone hooked up to this. So it says room temp 26.6. Hit confirm to turn on. Now you can't just turn it on by this panel here. So it'll tell you it's starting to heat. So there's air coming out of there. It's not warm yet. Let's go step around to the outside and see what the exhaust port is doing. You can hear the pump starting to run there. A lot of people complain about the pump noise, but honestly, I can sleep through that. It's not a problem. And it's actually comforting to know that I can hear it running. So I smell diesel coming out of the exhaust port. So in case you're wondering, that's what the exhaust port sounds like. I don't have the muffler on it. If you're one of these people that want to go stealth in urban environments, you might want to try the muffler. I don't know if it helps or not. I've never messed with it. Nice thing about this is you can set the temperature and it will maintain a steady temperature, whatever you set it to. All right, let's get back inside. Here the fan is ramping up a little. And I feel some heat coming out of it. Actually, what I want to do is close the tailgate. And see how long it takes to warm this place up. And it goes without saying, I suggest having a carbon monoxide tester with you. It's been running for about 7 minutes now, and it took it from 19 degrees to 50 degrees Fahrenheit in like 7 minutes. I've got it set to 71.6. It's already started to throttle down. But honestly, 50 degrees in here is perfectly fine for camping for me. You know, when you're sleeping, you're going to be under the blankets. And as it's powering down, like the lower power levels, it gets quieter. At full throttle, like level 10, it is a bit noisy, sounds a bit like a steam locomotive coming down the railroad tracks. But that's the price of keeping warm and dry. Propane heat tends to be kind of damp, produces moisture, so you get more condensation. This will actually help dry out the interior. But, you know, if you're sensitive to dry air, you might not want that. You might want the extra dampness that propane creates. Yeah, that's about all I can... Tighten down your camera, Dave. So yeah, that's about all I can ramble on about as far as this goes right now. That's the install. This is the view of the rest of it. It's kind of a mess in here. I gotta clean the floor up. It's doing construction, so things get sloppy. Alright, that's it. Heaters, active, ready for cold weather camping. Seems really secure. Yep. Time for a trial run. All right, battery's almost dead. I'm out of here. Gonna button this thing up. If you're interested in more stuff that I make, subscribe if you like. Thanks for watching. I think there was snot running down on my mustache. All right, later, people.